Welcome to this episode of Thai Food. On this episode, I'm going to show you how to take a French bread dough and get it set up to make pizza crusts. That's exactly what I'm going to do here. I got a dough function on my bread maker, so I'm going to take and pretty much follow the exact recipe for a French bread 2-pound loaf. The only difference is I'm going to add some variations of my own because I'm setting this up to make some pizza crusts. So what we want to do is, it calls for quite a few ingredients here, but I'm going to start with the olive oil because I like to put the olive oil in so that it can melt down over my little post for my beater here. As you can see in the bottom here, I got this little post right there as I'm finding it blind, but if you put the olive oil over that, then the oil will go down over that post and lubricate it. And later it's a little easier to get that off. Found this out the hard way after fighting with it. So we're going to need a couple tablespoons of an olive oil. And you can see this one's still a little cold, but it'll still work. So there's 1 tablespoon. I'll make sure I get this one to land right on top of that. Now this is just my roasted garlic olive oil that I've made when I roasted my own garlic. There we go. I made sure that one landed right on top of it. So as it warms up, it's going to fill in right around that. So there's 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Make sure I've got it all off my spoon here. I don't want to waste an ounce of that. That stuff's really flavorful. Now, if you don't have a bread maker like this, then you could take this recipe, cut it in half, and you could probably just make it in a Cuisinart if you got one of those, or if you have a KitchenAid mixer, you could do that as well. Now I want to take and I want to add my flour. I need 4 cups of flour. And you don't want to pack that in here. You just kind of want to gently, put it in there, make sure it's level. Definitely don't want to pack it. So there's 1 cup of flour. Need 4 cups total here. See, I'm just kind of letting it fall where it may, level it out. There we go. 2. Stirring up the flour before I scoop it into here. And now you could always sift it if you wanted to, but we don't need to be that precise, and I don't have a sifter anyways. But I do have a colander screen that I use for my ground beef to strain the fat out of when I make tacos and such, that I could use to sift it with. But like again, you don't need to be that technical with this. A little extra flour just makes the dough easier to work with anyways. But you don't want too much flour here. There we go. I'm just going to make sure it's level there. Alrighty, so that was 4 cups of flour. Now, it don't matter what kind of flour you use. Doesn't have to be bread flour, just regular, all-purpose, unbleached is what I'm using. I prefer the unbleached. It's my choice. Whatever flour you have is fine. Now, the yeast. Just going to do 1.5 level teaspoons. So there's 1. Just going to sprinkle it. And this is just regular Fleischmann's bread machine instant yeast. So it's not that expensive. It's like $5 for this jar, and I think I've only used half a jar so far, so it lasts quite a while. So there's 1.5 teaspoons of yeast. And just keep this in the refrigerator after you open it. It tells you right on it. Now 1.5 teaspoons of salt. So there we go. There's 1 teaspoon and another half. And this is just a Himalayan pink salt. You can find this anywhere, or regular sea salt works, or whatever salt you have. Doesn't matter. Again, this is just what I prefer to use, so that's what I use. Okay. There's all that. Now, this is another part where I'm going to deviate. It said just regular olive oil before, but I used my garlic olive oil. And now I got some of my homemade roasted garlic here. I'm going to put some of that in this. And we're just going to amp up the flavor now. Let's see here. I want that tablespoon I threw in the sink. Good thing the sink's clean. So we just want to, I want 1 good tablespoon of roasted garlic in this. That was a little bit heaping, but I put a big old dollop in here. And that's going to add some flavor down in there. And it's going to give you a nice garlic pizza crust. Again, if you don't like that much garlic, don't use that much garlic. But for those of you that do, you'll thank me. That's for sure. There we are. Now the only thing left to do is 1 1/3 cups of water. I got 1 cup already measured out. Just go ahead and pour this over top here. Measure out another 1/3 of a cup. Again, you want to be pretty accurate with this. You don't want to add in too much extra liquid. There we go, there's the other 1/3. And I did say that was the last part, but I was wrong. I got to do 2 teaspoons of sugar yet, because that's part of the recipe and I don't want to opt that out. So it's not a lot of sugar, but just 2 teaspoons. So there's 1. You got to give something for the yeast to eat and get activated, you know. And there's 2, right over top. There we go. That's all for sure this time. Go ahead and get this into our bread machine here. And down in it goes. Alright, make our selection. It says pizza dough or dough. Well, it's just a regular dough, so I'm just going to go with dough. It says 1 hour, 25 minutes, and then you hit the start. And there we go. Close the lid, let it do its thing. It's going to knead the bread for you, it's going to let it rise, and then it's going to beep when it's ready. And you'll have some dough there. And if you wanted to opt out the roasted garlic and just substitute the roasted garlic oil for a regular oil, you'd have French bread if you put it on the French bread setting. Or if you had some way to make it otherwise and then put it in some loaf pans, homemade French bread. Okay? Thanks for tuning in. That's all we have for this episode. Feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click on the little bell icon. It'll notify you when I upload a new video. Check out my Thai food group on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good one.